So module 3, we have two chapters again here. One which comes under microwave, which is called as microwave strip lines. The second chapter, we will be moving on into antenna part. So where you'll be studying the basics of antenna. So till module 3, chapter 1, you have the microwave part. From chapter 2, you will be studying for antenna part. So coming to this strip lines, we'll just look at what is actually a strip line and why we are going for strip line. Now, first thing is you have different structures which are mainly used for transmitting the microwave energy. There are many structures where you can use to transmit the microwave energies. The first one we talk about is the multi-conductor lines. When I say multi-conductor lines, these are nothing but the coaxial lines, strip lines, microstrip lines, slot lines, and coplanar lines. You'll be studying each and every lines in this module. So multi-conductor lines are nothing but your coaxial line, strip line, microstrip line, slot line, and coplanar lines. So what is the difference between your multi-conductor and single conductor is? This multi-conductor lines, the mode of transmission is nothing but TEM waves, that is your transverse electromagnetic waves. Whereas when you come for single conductor lines, these are nothing but the ones which you have studied: rectangular waveguide, circular waveguide, ridged waveguide. So these are single conductor lines. Here what happens, the mode of transmission is transverse electric or it is transverse magnetic waves, but it will not be both. When you come for multi-conductor, it has the combination of both transverse electric and transverse magnetic. So it is called as TEM, transverse electromagnetic waves. Whereas in single conductors, the mode of transmission is transverse electric as well as transverse magnetic, but it will not be a combination of both. So, which means that in the waveguide, which are single conductors, are nothing but waveguides. So, in the waveguides, there will not be TEM wave existence. So we go for the next one, that is microstrip line and coplanar lines. These are mainly used in this monolithic microwave integrated circuit, which we call it as MMIC. So with the recent years development, these microstrip line and coplanar lines are extensively used in this MMICs. So why? Because they provide one free and accessible surface. The surface what you have for carrying out the design, it is like a one surface and you can access it easily, which means that on which the whatever the devices you're considering, all the solid state devices can be placed on that surface. So which is easily accessible. Now here, all the electric and electronic devices which we take with high output power are mainly used in the conventional lines. That means your multi-conductor lines, that is coaxial lines, as well as your single conductor lines, that is waveguide for power transmission. So whenever we fabricate it, usually the chip volume what we consider is 0.008 to 0.08 millimeter cube. Now what is actually a strip line? When we say a strip line, it is actually consisting of a central thin conducting strip. So you can see here, which is written in the figure with a letter W, capital W. This is nothing but a strip. That small line, which is, this is actually, you have seen just the side view of the strip. So this is the strip, which is of width W. This will be much greater than the thickness. Thickness, we can take it as T, which is nothing but in between the white ground planes, we take the thickness. That is, here in the figure, it is written as B. So this is nothing but the thickness. This is one ground plane. This is one ground plane. Ground plane is nothing but for a circuit, however, we give positive and negative. Similarly, in this also, this will act as a ground. So both ground planes, if it is separated by a distance, say it is B, or this is nothing but the thickness, ground plane separation, and you have a strip which is of width W. This width W will be greater than the substrate thickness, that is T. Now mode of propagation in is TEM wave. you can see here, this is nothing but the electric field and magnetic field direction. So if this is a strip line, you can see the lines which are electric field, which are moving towards upper side of the ground plane and lower side of the ground plane. Whereas the magnetic field is perpendicular to your electric field. So this TEM wave, where your electric field lines are perpendicular to the strip end, everything will be concentrated at the center. You can see here how it is moving. So electric field is towards the upside and downside, but the field is across the center of the strip line. So where the dimension that we have taken, that is B here, it is less than half wavelength, that is lambda by 2. So the field cannot shift in the transverse direction. So what happens is it will be concentrated in the center. So a strip line is composed from a thin conducting strip of width W centered between two conducting ground planes of separation B. So the region between the conducting planes is filled with a dielectric material whose relative permittivity will be epsilon R, the permittivity of the strip line. Now, when we say strip line, it is actually a combination of two wire lines and a coaxial line. So basically, it will be a planar transmission lines, which will be used for frequencies greater, that is from 100 megahertz to 100 gigahertz. So you can see clearly in this figure, this is a center conductor. This center conductor is of length W or width W. There is a thickness for this particular conductor also, that is T, and you have ground planes. These are nothing but the insulators. So your electric field is concentrated at the center of the conductor. So whenever I say a strip line, it is combination of two wire lines and a coaxial line. Next, a strip line consists of a central thin conducting strip. We have seen this already, W, which is greater than thickness T. Now, each and every strip line, there are different strip lines. It will have a dielectric constant. It can be of different values for different substrate. Now, when I say substrate, what is the meaning of substrate? Anybody? Any idea? Okay. Now, when I say substrate, it is called as a molecule, or it is an material where you can, there are so many like epoxy and RT duroid. Those are the different kinds of substrate which we use. So when I say substrate, usually it is an underlying layer that will support your primary layer. That means you can consider example of a notebook just for imagination. Consider you have a notebook. The bottom sheet of the notebook, that is the cover, what you see, the pages which are covered through the bottom and the top layer. The down layer, you can consider it as the ground plane. And the top layer, which is covered for the notes, that is your substrate. So the substrate is nothing but it will act as a primary layer, or it will act as an underlying layer that supports the primary layer. Primary layer here, it is the ground plane. For supporting the ground plane, you will keep the substrate over that. In between what you have pages, there you will have the strip line or the strip, where the strip will be the conducting material. This is exactly how we design the different lines or different antennas when we consider the strip. So a substrate is an underlying layer that supports the primary layer. Now, when we say substrate material, it can be different material. As I've told you, there are so many epoxy and copper and RT duroid. There are different substrate, and for that you will have different dielectric values. Now here it is placed inside the low loss dielectric substrate of thickness T between two wide ground planes. Now width of this ground plane what you take, or ground plate what you take, it is 5 times greater than the spacing between the plates. This is an general criteria. So the fundamental and dominant mode in strip line, so it is TEM mode. For a thickness lambda by 2 here, there will be no propagation in transverse direction. So it has to be either greater or equal. So the thickness is lambda by 2, then there is no propagation in the transverse direction. Now coming to strip line, as I've told you, we'll be studying microstrip line, strip line, slot line, coplanar line. In this again you have parallel shielded strip lines. So here a strip line has one or more interior strip conductors immersed in a dielectric with ground planes. The same figure which is shown in a different way. You have thickness. This epsilon r, we always represent the dielectric constant in epsilon r. So this is the dielectric constant of the strip which is placed here. So as I've told you, if I consider a notebook, so the bottom layer will be considered as a ground plane. The top layer is considered as a substrate. This is nothing but the light color, transparent color, what you have here. This is a strip line of width W, thickness T, as well as epsilon R is the dielectric constant. And this is the electric field notation of it. There is one more important thing to remember in the strip line is whenever we consider microstrip line, so we'll go into it. So whenever I talk about the microstrip line, this is one of the most used planar microwave circuit interconnections in microstrip. Now, how it is formed is, one is, you have a strip conductor on a dielectric substrate, which is backed by the ground plane, and we will use usually zero thickness. So in the circuit is similar, the figure is similar for all the strip lines. You will have substrate, a ground plane, and a strip. So you can see in this figure what exactly is strip on the substrate with width W, T, D, as well as epsilon R. Now here, the electric field you can see here, apart from your strip line, the electric fields are located in such a way that it is coming out of your circuit. I mean, it is above the upper end of the strip line and it is coming back to the ground. This kind of transmission or mode of propagation, we call it as quasi-transmission or quasi-transverse electromagnetic waves. So your microwave integrated circuit, which is with your microstrip line, these are commonly used in chips. Microstrip line, it is also called as, since it is coming out of your strip line, half of the electric field are out of your strip line, these are also called as open strip lines. So it will also consist a single ground plane, a thin strip conductor, which is having a lossless dielectric substrate on the ground plane. And this microwave devices, it is mainly used in many of the circuits only because it is easily mounted on the top and easily connected to the microstrip lines. So connection is easy and it can be easily connected to the strip lines. The electric fields, you can see it has remained partially in the air, half of or partial of output of your electric field is in the air and partial is in the lower dielectric substrate. So since it is partially outside or partially in the air, we call it as the mode of propagation in a microstrip line is quasi-transverse electromagnetic wave. Mainly because it is again an open structure. If you see the structure, it is open structure. The strip is not somewhere in between your or mounted in between your ground plane and substrate. It is on top of your substrate. So it is an open structure. So microstrip lines, what happens is it will radiate outside and it will radiate your electromagnetic energy. So because of that, the half of the electric field is in the air. And so the mode of propagation here is quasi-transverse electromagnetic. And we will be deriving a loss for this, which is usually proportional to your frequency. So here by using the high and thin dielectric materials, you can reduce the losses. So microstrip lines, there are many advantages of going for a microstrip line. What are the advantages? Mainly, it is called as a balanced strip lines, mainly because the open strip has an interconnection features and easier for fabrication. I told you it is easy to connect. So when we say easy to connect, as well as one more thing is it is easy to connect to the strip line and the design is easy. So the fabrication is also easy. So the microstrip line structure, we call it as inhomogeneous structure, mainly because you have fields within two guided wave medium. The microstrip, it doesn't support the pure TEM wave. It supports quasi-TEM wave. So it is called as inhomogeneous structure. Now, when the longitudinal components of the field for the dominant mode of microstrip line is much smaller than the transverse component, the quasi-TM approximation is applicable to facilitate the design. This meaning is similar to what we have said earlier. The electric field, it is an open structure, so the electric field is outside the air. So because of that, we call it as, or we go for quasi-TEM approximation. And this is the same figure. It is, the strip line is the other side. If it is other side, that means it is the conducting side of your microstrip. So you have conducting strip, height, dielectric constant, and ground plane. Next is the properties of your microstrip line. The main property is your microwave solid state device. It is easily fabricated using the semiconducting chip. The volume we have seen, it is 0.0082, 0.08 millimeter cube. Mode of transmission is quasi-TEM. So your theory of TEM coupled lines is approximated. Similarly, for going for construction, now we have seen if the field propagate is TEM, then what or which epsilon R do we have to use? So the answer is neither, because there is no purely TEM wave on the microstrip, but you know it is actually quasi-TEM mode. So at low frequency, this mode is almost exactly TEM, which means that even though we take it as quasi-transverse electromagnetic mode, at low frequencies, this wave can also act as TEM, because at low frequencies, the electric fields will be not coming out of your open structure of the microstrip line. It will remain little low, which means that it can also act as your exactly TEM wave. So when frequency becomes too high, you can say that there are axial components of E and H, which making the mode no longer the quasi-TEM mode. So this property is called as dispersive behavior. And coming to the microstrip properties or general features why we go for microstrip line for fabrication, it is mainly fabricated using PCB technology. So it consists of a conducting strip, again separated by a ground plane by a dielectric known as substrate. The components which are used is couplers and filters. Again, power divided can be formed using microstrip line. You have two experiments in your lab. One is power divider and a coupler, where you'll be making use of microstrip lines. This is less expensive as traditional waveguide technology. So since it is less expensive, it is lighter as well as compact. The power handling capability is less in case of microstrip line, and the radiation losses are high. The like waveguide microstrip is not enclosed. We have seen it is an open structure. Microwave integrated circuits with microstrip lines are commonly used with the chips, and these are also called as open strip line. Radiation loss in the microstrip lines is main one of the disadvantage, particularly where you have discontinuities such as short circuit post, corners, others, or etc. So radiation loss is a disadvantage, and the use of thin and high dielectric materials will reduce the radiation losses in the open strip. So these are the certain features you have to know about microstrip lines. And next, coming into the characteristic impedance, which we have seen already, that is Z0. So this is the normal figure of your microstrip line. There is epsilon R, height, and a strip line. This is a thickness. A wire over the ground plane can also be represented as, this is a wire, which is just make a one round of it. This is a diameter of it. There is an epsilon R, there is a height. So you have to write down what is actually the characteristic impedance of a microstrip line. It is given by a compensation method or a comparative method or an indirect method, which is given by an equation Z0 is equal to 60 divided by square root of epsilon R ln 4h by d. So here it is not epsilon R, it is actually epsilon Re, which is a dielectric constant of the ambient temperature. H is the height from the center of the wire to ground plane. D is the diameter of the wire. Again, there is no derivation. You just have to remember the equation of the characteristic impedance of microstrip line, which is Z0 is equal to 60 divided by square root of epsilon Re ln 4h by d. Now here h should be greater than d, that is your height with respect to the diameter. Next is you have to derive an equation for, or you have to just write down an equation for dielectric constant. You can note down the equation. The effective dielectric constant is given by epsilon REFF, which is the effective dielectric constant. Now we know that the field lines is partially in the air and there are partial field lines which are inside the dielectric. So the effective dielectric constant, what you take, that is epsilon R effective, it needs to be considered instead of the dielectric constant, that is what we take, that is epsilon R. This is actual dielectric constant. But since we have here partial fields in the air and partial fields in the dielectric, we will be writing the derivation for or equation for epsilon RE effective. Now in the microstrip line, propagation time delay per unit length, which is nothing but TD. It is given by an equation that is square root of mu epsilon. Take this equation as 1. This is a general definition of a propagation delay time, which is square root of mu into epsilon. Mu, you know, it is the permeability of medium. Epsilon is the permittivity of the medium. So in the free space propagation, we know that TD is equal to, you will be writing mu as mu naught into mu R. Similarly, epsilon is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R. Whenever we consider free space, this both values will go to 1. So you will be left out with mu naught into epsilon naught R for free space propagation delay. What is the value of mu naught? What is the value of mu naught? What is the value of mu naught? Mu naught and epsilon naught.
Mu naught equal to 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7.
4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7. What about epsilon naught?
8.854 into 10 power minus 12.
8.854 into 10 to the power minus 12. Calculate this and tell me how much you're getting. TD, you can take this, it is in free space, TDF. Multiply these two parameters, square root of 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 into 8.854 into 10 power minus 12.
3.334 into 10 to the power minus 9.
3.336 into 10 to the power minus 9. Unit is seconds per meter. I need to convert this delay time in terms of feet. What is 1 meter in terms of feet? Anybody? 1 meter, how much it is in terms of feet? Okay. It is actually 3.2808 feet. So this is now, if I write, it is 3.336 nanoseconds per meter. I need to convert this per meter into feet. So if you do this conversion per meter and per feet, this will be exactly 1.016 nanoseconds per feet. So this is the time delay or propagation delay of a microstrip line. Or you can do one thing, you can convert this into feet both, then you can write the answer directly in terms of feet. Now in the transmission line, if I consider the permeability is 1, that is nothing but only the mu r is equal to 1, this equation will reduce to, that is TD is equal to square root of mu naught mu r epsilon r. I'm considering only this mu r is equal to permeability as 1. So you'll have the equation that is mu naught epsilon naught into epsilon r. So this equation, if I still reduce, it will just give you a change. Instead of just writing it as 1.061 feet, you will be writing in terms of epsilon r, that is TD is equal to square root or 1.016 square root of epsilon r nanoseconds per feet. That is only when you consider permeability as 1. So with respect to permittivity, it will be 1.016 square root of epsilon r nanoseconds per feet. Now coming to, I'll clear the screen. Coming to dielectric constant of your microstrip line, it is given by an empirical formula called epsilon Re is equal to 0.475 epsilon r plus 0.67. This is again, derivation is not there. You have to just by heart the equation. So epsilon Re is equal to 0.475 epsilon r plus 0.67. Here, based on the changing values of dielectric constants, your epsilon Re will depend. The same thing is given in this figure, the graph which you can see here. In this graph, based on the value of epsilon r, so it is going on increasing. Whatever the epsilon r value substitute, either it is 1, 2, 3, 4, so it goes on increasing. So this graph is nothing but it is a effective dielectric constant as a function of relative dielectric constant of a microstrip line. So relative dielectric constant here is epsilon r. Effective dielectric constant is epsilon Re. Based on that, you're just showing how the dielectric constant changes or effective dielectric constant changes. Similarly, you have a distance d, which is given by an equation that is 0.67 w, 0.8 plus t by w. Again, this is one more equation with respect to distance. If you are finding out with respect to the time and thickness, here again there is one more graph which defines the distance for this particular equation. So this is a d by w, 0.67 into 0.8 plus t by w. Here, the ratio of strip thickness to width is t by w. Based on this t by w values, whatever you substitute here, it can be 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Again, the graph goes on increasing, which means that the relationship between a round conductor and a rectangular conductor from a ground plane. So this is nothing but the ratio of conductor with respect to the diameter by width, that is d by w, with respect to thickness to width. Same graph, just showing the difference of how it goes on increasing when you substitute the values. Now this diameter, that is d by w, is equal to 0.67 into 0.8 plus t by w. This is mainly required for the conversion from the rectangular waveguide to a circular waveguide. Wherever there is a conversion, we are going to use that is d by w, diameter by width formula. So these are the important formulas which you have. Here, epsilon r is relative dielectric constant, epsilon Re is effective relative dielectric constant. Now to find out a characteristic impedance equation in terms of thickness, you know the value of Z0 or the formula of Z0, 60 divided by square root of epsilon Re into ln, equation is ln 4h by d. So this is your first equation. This if it is second and this if it is third. You have to substitute the equation, that is substitute 2 and 3 in 1. So the equation will be Z0 is equal to 60 divided by, you have here 0.475 epsilon r plus 0.67 ln 4h. Instead of d, it is 0.67 w, 0.8 plus t by w. Now you need to simplify this equation and get an formula for your characteristic impedance. So here Z naught is equal to, now we need an equation in terms of epsilon r. So we'll just take out this 0.05 outside. Since we are going for simplification, so take out 0.075 outside. So you'll be left out with epsilon r. How much is 0.067 by this? Is it 1.41? Just check it.
Yes, ma'am.
So this will be 1.41, and you have to simplify this also. So ln this equation, how do you simplify this now? You can divide 4 by 0.67. How much you're getting? Just check. 4 divided by 0.67. This.
5.97.
5.97 or 98 divided by h into 0.8 w. We'll multiply this w inside, plus you have t. Now this again, to simplify this, divide 60 divided by square root of 0.0475. This term, numerator by denominator. How much it is? 60 divided by square root of
0.05.
how much?
87.05.
Okay, 87 divided by, sorry, there is square root here. So square root of epsilon r plus 1.41 ln of 5.98h divided by 0.8 w plus t. Now this equation, what you have for Z naught, this equation is called characteristic impedance of, or characteristic impedance for a narrow microstrip line in terms of thickness. This is one important equation with respect to problem. Again, there is one more that is called as velocity of propagation. It is given by a formula, ratio of velocity of light square root of epsilon re, that is effective dielectric constant. So it is nothing but 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and the value of square root of epsilon re with respect to again meter per second. So this is the formula for velocity of propagation in terms of microstrip line. And this equation, this is for narrow microstrip line. If we are going for wide microstrip line, where Z naught is given by h by w square root of mu by epsilon. It is height by width h by w into square root of mu by epsilon. Now again you have to simplify this a little bit. The equation, which will give you, instead of mu and epsilon, I have told you already, it is taken as usually square root of mu naught into mu r, square root of epsilon naught into epsilon r. Now, if we consider free space, that is mu r is equal to 1. So you will be left out with h by w. This epsilon r will remain outside. You have square root of mu naught by epsilon naught. Simplify this. That is epsilon r, value of mu naught 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 divided by 8.854 into 10 power minus 12. Just check how much you're getting square root of this. Four pi into 10 power minus 7 divided by 8.854 into 10 power minus 12. This answer?
376.63.
We consider it as 377. So this is for a wide microstrip line. Wide and narrow, the difference is only this much. The height, what you take, if it is less than 0.8 of width, so that means it is a narrow microstrip line. If the height or width is greater than your height, that will be your wide microstrip antenna. Sorry, microstrip line. So the characteristic impedance for narrow microstrip line is 87 divided by square root of epsilon r plus 1.41 ln 5.98 h divided by 0.8 w plus t. Similarly, for narrow, it is Z0, wide it is Z0 is equal to 377 h by w into square root of epsilon r. So this is about the equations. You can write down one problem with this. Write down the question. Calculate the characteristic impedance. Calculate the characteristic impedance of a wide microstrip line having negligible thickness and having a width of 0.8 millimeter. The thickness of the substrate is 0.2 millimeter and has a dielectric constant 3.55. Calculate the characteristic impedance of a wide microstrip line having negligible thickness and having a width of 0.8 millimeter. The thickness of the substrate is 0.2 millimeter and has a dielectric constant of 3.55. So given in the question is one is width. The thickness is taken as h, that is 0.2 millimeter. Epsilon r is the dielectric constant 3.55. In the question, check it is given wide microstrip line. The formula of wide microstrip line characteristic impedance is Z0 is equal to 377 divided by square root of epsilon r h by w. Just substitute directly the parameters which is given. 377 square root of 3.55, h is 0.2 millimeter divided by 0.8 millimeter. Tell me the answer. How much is the characteristic impedance?
Ma'am.
How much? 50. Getting?
Yes, ma'am, 50.
Yeah, 50 ohms. Just a direct substitution. Okay, write down one more problem. A certain microstrip line has following parameters, that is epsilon r is equal to 5.23, h is equal to 7 mils, MILS. T is equal to 2.8 mils. W is equal to 10 mils. Calculate the characteristic impedance Z0 of the line. Calculate the characteristic impedance Z0 of the line. A certain microstrip line has following parameters. Epsilon R is 5.23, H is 7 mils, T is 2.8 mils, W is 10 mils. Calculate the characteristic impedance Z0 of the line. Now, which formula you need to use? Whether you have to use a wide microstrip line or a narrow microstrip line. Which one you're supposed to use?
Narrow, ma'am.
Yeah, you have to use narrow. Why? Can you tell me?
T value is given here.
T value is given. Yeah. If it is not mentioned in the question, if narrow or wide, just see the parameters what is given. If T is given, then it will be a narrow microstrip line. Use the formula, that is 87 divided by square root of epsilon R plus 1.41 ln 5.98 H divided by 0.8 W plus T. Substitute and tell me the answer. It is 87 divided by square root of 5.23 plus 1.41 ln. No need for change of miles into either meter or something, because every parameter is in miles. So you can just keep it in miles only. Into 7 divided by 0.8 into 10 plus 2.8. First do this ln calculation, then add it to, multiply it to this answer. Done. How much it is? Solve this part first. 5.98 into 7. Then 0.8.
45.74.
Yes, correct. 45.78. Everybody, you're getting the same answer?
Yes, ma'am.
45.78. Those are the same questions which we have seen, or the equation which we have seen. First, that is Z0 of your general wire method. It is 60 by square root of epsilon RE ln 4H by D. So you'll be finding out what is effective electric constant by an empirical formula. It is 0.475 epsilon R plus 0.67. The thickness or the diameter D is 0.67 for a rectangular to circular waveguide. It is 0.8 plus T by W. So the Z0 for a narrow microstrip line is given by this formula. Similarly, for your wide microstrip line, it is given by this formula. And characteristic impedance, what you have to do in terms of feet. mu naught and epsilon naught values. And you have found out what is velocity of propagation as well as the propagation time constant, that is TD, 3.33, which is in meter per meter. In terms of feet, it will be 1.017. So tomorrow we'll look into what are the losses in the microstrip line. The only thing you have to remember here is you should know what is actually a microstrip line, first of all. If you don't understand that imagination of a microstrip line, then you cannot do certain derivations. So initially, just remember a strip line is nothing but it's a conductor where you will have a ground plane, a substrate with thickness and dielectric constant. So that is nothing but a strip line. Based on that, it will have a quasi-TEM mode and it has certain properties which is easy to fabricate, which is of less cost, then low weight, and the easier for using the dielectric materials on the strip lines so that you can fabricate using the PCB technology. The only disadvantage in the strip line or a microstrip line is it is having losses, that is radiation losses, that can be again reduced by using the suitable dielectric material, which will reduce the radiation losses.